Now, let's take you back to 2006 to one of the most extraordinary incidents ever seen on a football pitch.
We're seeing a replay now, and Zidane has headbutted Marco Matterazi in the chest, off the ball. Forget the red mist, it's a red card. Zinedine Zidane sent off. He ends his professional career by headbutting an opponent and walking in the World Cup final. He should be thoroughly ashamed of himself. He's let his country down. Zidane might have scored. He leaves the field. He argues his case. No lawyer in the world could get him off. You have been found guilty as charged. Leave the field. Leave your career. You have let yourself down in the most vigorous, horrible, imaginable way possible.
Wow.
Jim Brown, that was extraordinary in itself. What a commentary.
Well, that's a off-the-cuff reaction, because you couldn't plan for that.
Of course not.
But that's Jim at his very best.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
he
just
is fantastic.
Worded it perfectly. And
no lawyer's going to get you.
No lawyer.
Wow.
It's funny when you lose it, isn't it? Sometimes you just get caught in the moment. You know, you get caught in the moment.
Obviously, there's a story from you to come. But just before we get to that then, take you back to that moment in the World Cup final. France taking on Italy. It's 1-1 at this stage. In fact, they're in extra time now as a result of that. And as you heard, it was Zidane with Marco Matterazi. Both actually had scored the goals in that game as well. Are you, like everybody else, just thinking, what on earth have we just witnessed when you saw it happen? Well,
Zidane come from a very rough area in Marseille. And so there's a feisty man in there that sometimes he's going to lose it. It felt to me at the time premeditated.
Right.
Because of the comments that were obviously alluded to afterwards about why it happened.
And this was something he thought his Matterazi said about his mother.
Yes, yeah. And it felt just... He wasn't playing particularly well, Zidane, in that game. Things weren't happening for him. He weren't doing what he did in 98 and he did in 2000. He wasn't having and probably getting a little bit frustrated. And then he got to the moment, and then as soon as someone said something that wasn't particularly complimentary towards like his mum, and wow, and that was it. And he's just gone. The strangest thing is, he's headbutted his chest.
Yes, I know.
It was just so bizarre.
You say premeditated. Now, is that because...
I can't prove it. I just felt that
No. But the reason I'm saying that is that because obviously the on-pitch referee didn't see it. So it wasn't, an on-the-ball incident. It was off the ball. Referee's obviously elsewhere. Obviously, there's no VAR at this point, clearly. So in that sense, does that make you think it's even more premeditated? Because he's probably thinking, I might get away with this.
Yeah. Yeah, I always thought that. I always thought that it was the way he acted that day. And there was an element of, like I said, his performance and wasn't really dictating the play, which you'd expect from Zidane. But I'd heard stories, because when you play for Marseille, you hear stories, like I heard stories about Cantona, and his character and being from that area. You hear stuff of their families and, I just knew that one day Zidane, I never imagined him to do that, but I knew he was quite capable. He really did put himself about on the pitch, but very unnoticed most of the time.
I think Materazzi's always sort of defended himself and said he's never said anything. But actually, it could have been about Zidane's sister is what some of the reports also suggested.
There was obviously derogatory comments to somebody that he knew, Zidane, very close to him.
That angered Zidane. It was actually the fourth official that alerted the referee to what had happened, hence why Zidane was sent off. But... that is some way for you to bow out of your career.
It's the end, that was it. What a way to go.
I know.
And thinking, and he played in Italian football as well, so they would have crossed paths in some way, and, it could be history there as well. There could be a number of things, because Zidane acted like a man on a revenge mission.
Yeah, so it's been simmering for a while, and then it's just boiled over in that final. So go on, what was your moment?
No, I laughed because when I read on the script and I saw the Zidane, I was thinking, Republic of Ireland in Turkey, get a 2-match ban, big melee at the end of the game, I'm involved, and still can't play today, by the way. That ban still stands, that 2-match ban. Ban.
Really? You never served it? That's disgraceful.
I've still got to serve it, so I can't be selected. But it's very difficult because I laugh as I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking, well, I got sent off 9 times in my career. Not many. That's quite a high number, 9 red cards. Also, been sent off in marriage a few times.
Yes, you've definitely been issued a red card.
I have a
marriages.
feisty side to me that you don't really see most of the time because I am pretty placid, but I do see the red mist, and I've had it a few times. And it's very hard to explain and to understand, even when you're even someone driving a car and the way you react to someone. A lot of us are built like that, and some need a little less pushing than others. But I've had them moments, Nat. Probably my worst was Republic of Ireland playing in Turkey. That was probably my worst. I just lost it completely.
And how long does it take you to realise, oh dear?
Well, it only took about the time I got to the dressing room because Roy Keane was looking at me with discontent and like, what you doing, you stupid idiot? Like looking at me, but not saying a word.
Yeah, just a look.
I remember looking at Roy and thinking, well, he probably thinks I was a bit of an idiot there. But, we've all been there. You're playing sport and then every now and again something happens and... it wasn't that big of a deal, but it sort of, leaving because that was also my last game for Republic of Ireland. So,
so you kind of copied.
Well, out in a bash.
He copied you, I suppose we could say. Going out in style.
I, even though I did it before him, I definitely would have copied him more than him copying me. But I said to you before, I was in the dressing room, even in a friendly game with Zidane, and when I first actually met him, and quietest man in the dressing room. No, even with the French players.
But he's always kind of looked like that. Do you know what I mean?
Doesn't
Even
really
as a
get
manager,
involved.
he looks quite sort of sort of gentle and...
But, you sometimes... I felt with Gareth Bale when he really did fall out, because I say his fallout would be just not even entertain Gareth Bale, which clearly happened at the end of Gareth Bale's time and Zidane's at Real Madrid.
Yeah.
That, it would be hard with Zidane because he's a man of very few words.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he hasn't managed since 2021. Do you think he'll get back into it?
Don't know. I mean, look at his record. It's pretty extraordinary. But he has a very... He's got cold ways about him that I've been told. I mean, obviously, I know players who have played with him and they said that, they speak highly of him and what a great player he was and that. But I think it was hard to get, maybe because he was probably for a period of time the world's best player. He certainly was up there. That, he didn't get people too close to him. He was quite a discreet man. He had his kids, his boys, and, and he just lived his life that way.
Do you know when you go on Wikipedia and you look at the honours? And
He's got loads.
Yeah, you're just scrolling. You're like, when does this end? It just goes on and on and on. And I'm talking about individual honours as a player, and then as a manager. It is quite extraordinary, all the honours that he's had, and all the records and everything else that he has set in his career.
I think there'll be a big drive, and it's been mentioned many a time, and it could have happened to Deschamps with France. I do think there is an ambition within him to eventually get the French job. It's just the timing of when he takes it.
Okay.